And top of the morning to ya. Welcome back to another wonderful episode of the Convoluted Podcast. It's your host, Liz. I'm with Tyrant, Dominus, aka Jesus. And if it's your first time, we would like if you subscribe. You don't have to, but we would like it. How you doing, Jesus?
I'm tired and exhausted, and everyone, sorry, we have not recorded in a while. It's been a very long couple weeks, actually. So we, as everyone might have known, if you're listening for the first time, we were on an impromptu break. Liz was on a vacation, and
2 weeks.
For 2 weeks, and I was on like spring cleaning I'm just spring cleaning. So
fiasco?
Oh, fiasco.
Chaos?
There you go. Fiasco is the best way to say it. Yeah, every moment I was gonna like set aside to like get it. That was like the prime time to get stuff done. And you know, it's a lot better now, but yeah, definitely all the time and think I had to record. I apologize to my guests, host. They understood, but yeah, and I think I did post on social media that there was a delay on that. So if you want to stay up to date and stuff like that, you have to just follow on Instagram's the best way to do it. Instagram's the most way to stay up to date with anything podcast related. But yeah, it just was hectic around here in the productive way. So but definitely I am tired, exhausted. But let's hear some good stuff. How was your trip?
It was amazing. It was beautiful. I love the lay of the land, the food, the people, the adventures we went on. I wish we got to do more. I definitely will be planning on going back to Ireland a little bit more. I think I would love to explore a little bit longer, because even though it is about the size of Oregon, you can get anywhere within like 2 to 3 hours of something. It was just a lot of traveling. So maybe I'll do a road trip around it. Maybe I can catch more stuff and have more fun with things. So for sure.
Definitely. Yeah. Those type of adventures, mostly out of country ones, when you set aside like a week, 2 weeks is never enough. Those are like the ones you literally have to take a month off, and God knows that we would all love a month off work to do something like that.
I would just have to accrue enough time to do that, but who knows?
Oh yeah, it's
almost zero.
Yeah, there was actually I think I mentioned on the show that before the whole pandemic stuff happened, I was about to go to Japan for 3 weeks straight, and because one, it takes forever to get there and come back. Like I'm guessing the flights for you were a reasonable long trip.
Well, the going there was fine. It was coming back that was the bitch.
Damn.
So we were up for a little over 24 hours by the time we got home in the Northwest. So
shoot. Wow. Damn, that sucks. At least you made it home safe. Mostly with all those stories.
Of all those planes, I know, right? Of all my things. But I wasn't on any of those planes that were having issues, so we were okay.
All right, we were praying you weren't on a Boeing. That's all I'm saying. But I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you all have fun. But definitely, sometimes you need a vacation from a vacation to kind of decompress. I know I need a vacation from all the stuff that we've been doing around here. But actually, I will be getting my vacation soon, or a little breather, I would say. Oh, I got a long weekend and a vacation coming up. Maybe we'll come up with something then. But yeah, Any other things you want to talk about before we jump into some of the stories?
Nope, I can't think of anything.
All right, then go for it.
Oh yes, I found this one last night. 8 men allegedly ran a beer heist ring that stole Corona and Modelo worth hundreds of thousands. 8 men allegedly operated a beer heist ring that swiped cases of Corona and Modelo Especial valued at hundreds of thousands of dollars from distribution centers and rail cars in Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, and New York.
Girl,
7 of the men were...
a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, right? Yeah, that's a lot. So, 7 of the men were arrested on Wednesday, according to the U.S. Attorney's Office, Southern District of New York. The man was, who prosecutors believe was the ringleader, Jose Cesaria, and turned himself into the federal authorities on Thursday after being at large, a spokesman confirmed to CBS Money Watch. Between July 2022 and March of 2024, a man allegedly carried out dozens of heists, waiting until night to cut holes in the fences of distribution facilities or to snip the locks off of rail cars to gain access to pallets of beer, according to an unsealed indictment.
They were literally doing a full heist. God damn. Hello?
You were all staticky.
Okay, I said they were doing a full heist. Hello? Liz, can you hear me? Liz, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, that was weird. I said they were doing a full...
Weird.
Oh, it just might have just been some disturbance. But yeah, I said they were doing a full heist.
Yeah, and they're moving the truck to transport stolen beer to the Bronx, where it was inspected and then sold. Wow. I feel like this is back, like, remember back in the olden times, like the Western times?
And look at that shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's literally what I was thinking. It's like just a Western hike. It's like... Definitely there's a whole plan thing.
Yeah, the fact that they were able to execute it, not get caught for a while, for almost 2 years. Damn.
Bruh. It's one of those things where you see like a small movie crime, because you could substitute beer with some other thing, gems or things like that of nature.
Yeah, but beer, that's weird.
It makes for a fun story, but definitely thousands of dollars worth of product it's something. Are you out of your mind? It is something, and you have to, like you said, 2 years. That's cameras, things of that nature. Like that's the thing about crime these days, of how things are being detected. It's just there's so many ways to get caught, because people forget that the reason a lot of criminals got away before was poor surveillance, poor testimonies, no way to prove who the culprits were. That's why a lot of people were sentenced to jails, even though they were innocent. And it still happens now. I'm not gonna say anything, you know. So
I just love how he apparently recruited these people. He did it through Instagram.
The power of social media.
I know, right? I was like, what? How?
Like I need like someone. I need the inside man. I need the hacker. I need the crack. I need the train operator. That's how you get it.
I know, right?
You could kind of see. Like I said, it's like, it sounds like the thing of a movie plot, and
it would be a great movie plot. I think I would totally watch that just for shits and giggles, because
not a single fuck was given this day.
A whole pandemic of this, and then made lots of money this way.
It is.
I'm surprised it wasn't millions, but what do I know?
It could have took time. They had to probably figure out how to sell said stolen product. You know, people just think stealing product is the easy. Like once you have the product, it's like selling it, getting rid of it. That's what people forget. Like, oh, I stole these like, we'll just say diamonds. We stole $10 million worth of diamonds. Okay, you have $10 million worth of rocks. How are you going to get it out there without being caught?
I know, right?
Some people forget that getting to the actual profits in between, unless you already have like a buyer, it's like it's just a risk there. You're just risking everything. But yeah,
he must have sold it out of the basement, out of his house or something like that, and people just knew that, hey, I can get beer there. I mean, honestly, they didn't have to put any effort of like a lot of money to go and steal this stuff, but then they make all that profit from selling it. So
yeah, but at that point, it's all profit. They're just slowly selling through it. So at least we stopped these heinous people. The greatest of horrible people stealing people's like fun.
Yeah, this is the lighter stories of many things we've seen in the last couple weeks.
Oh, definitely. And there's a lot. We have a whole list of things to talk about that while we are away, so be ready, guys. But let's talk about a follow-up story about a police officer. Liz, do you remember that police officer who got into a lot of shenanigans with her coworkers?
I believe so. I think I know who you're talking about.
So apparently said police officer was awarded $500,000 after being fired for sexual misconduct. Can you believe that?
Really?
So
I wonder how she got away with that.
So a scandal erupted on the internet after it's Megan. I think it's Megan. Megan Hall was fired for having sexual intercourse with multiple colleagues. Now she is awarded $500,000 in a lawsuit against the city of Bargain, and her former coworkers. The misconduct in the department, 27-year-old Megan and 4 officers were fired in 2023, just a little over a year ago, after it was revealed that they were heavily drinking, partying, and participating in sexual acts during work. Like, come on. Bruh. The other officers were suspended without pay. The investigation ensued after the police sergeants reported inappropriate relations to Mayor Jason Cole, despite the recurrent incident being swept under the rug. Okay, that's kind of the let's start with that. That's the intro story to that. So yeah, we talked about this last year when it was going wild. Do you remember your initial thoughts when we were talking about this?
No, I don't, because it wasn't a year ago. I barely remember last year. Okay. I was so doped up last year.
Oh yeah, I remember. So for the most part, I remember she was married. And I think we were talking. It's been a while since we talked about it, but to my memory, I remember that we were not too surprised, but we were like, wow, how it escalated so bad. I think we even said it was like a really bad porno at that point.
Yes, that's right.
And to reach now this point where we'll look into the lawsuit in a little bit to see what are your initial thoughts of her getting awarded so much money for the deeds that were done. Like, what are your thoughts before we just...
Granted that she was the only woman there, probably gave her leverage. I mean, so I'm not surprised, but I am surprised. I don't know. It's just
are you pro for what she got or nay to what she got?
I'm trying to remember the story from last year.
Well, I kind of recapped it a little bit, but let me see. Is there anything else in here? The Lara Police Department faced scrutiny for allowing sexual misconduct that took place on city property. Amongst these who committed the acts were the police chief, the sergeant, and 2 highly esteemed superiors. So they were all 4 basically superiors or her. The 2 failed to discipline officers and instead decided to sexually engage with Hall. Where is this? The police chief went as far as to instruct one of them to lie and deny any accusations involving I forgot her name already, but anyways,
Hall,
Megan, and a 20-page investigation report was then published, confirming the explicit images that were shared between Halls and fellow officers, as well as orals that occurred in the department. So yeah, so that's kind of what happened. And I know she got like lambasted to her family or her partner also, which, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, but what are your thoughts of the results of everything, her and this payout that she got for?
I guess good for her. I mean, she did lose her job, right? I can't remember. I think she was one.
I think all of them lost their job.
And she was the only female, so I don't know. I wish I could remember from last year, but I can't.
So let's look into the lawsuit. The lawsuit filed against the city. A month after Hall was fired, she filed a lawsuit against the city and the three of her former coworkers for sexual harassment. She claims that the police chief and sergeant all used their position of authority to exploit and groom her. Megan expressed that she initially declined sexual acts with her peers, but then gave into the pressure. Do you want to read the quote?
My supervisors worked together to take advantage of my vulnerabilities and mental health, and they used it for their gain and their sexual pleasure.
End quote. Since the scandal broke the internet, Hall shared that she started getting her threatened and harassed, causing a strain on her mental health and ability to find a new job. Hall quickly became the face of degrading and humiliating memes all over the internet. Okay, so let's start with that before we get into something. Okay, so definitely she got it done. No pun intended. She got it done rough because it was truly public. That's the thing. Like, we talked about it, and we're just a small little podcast. Like, at the moment, before we read any of it, definitely getting into that level of position and everything, it's hard, mostly for women. We've talked about this before, and there's no saying that, but it's like things like this happen a lot. That's what's disappointing. It's good that she found a way to compensate, because yeah, definitely we were making jokes about it. The internet was making jokes about it, but then at the end of the day, it's a person's life. No one can ever be in someone else's shoes 100%. So, so at the end of the day, we can only see it as a third party looking in, right? Yep. So we didn't know exactly everything, but we joked about it. We understand that. So as far as the settlement, my personal thoughts is, like, at least the one of the times the judicial system works for the people, so that's what's good. You know, she was able to get something for her.
She is a white girl, so I mean, her advantages on that end. I'm just saying. True.
And then it's just like, then the real people who are paying at the end of the day is the people, because it's our tax dollars that goes to that. So
well, maybe not us, because we're part of the Northwest, but maybe
you know what I mean. You know what I mean. The people pay the price for this misconduct. That's what I'm saying, and I think that's where I'm more annoyed, is when these things happen. Like, why should the people pay for the overall, like, the system, right? But like, it's one of those things where it sucks that like one thing led to another, and there was just no. It's like one of those bad. Literally, what was it? It was just a really bad porno, right? And it like became reality, and then just fall into that circle, and it happens. And the thing is, like, this is in a professional, like, setting that's supposed to be protecting the people. So this is what, if this is what it is like that, you can only imagine what happens when there's no scrutiny. That's the scary part. So
no kidding.
At the moment, before we read the settlement side of stuff, I'm glad that she's getting something because of the level of like harassment she got, not only during and after, of the whole thing. But I just don't like that it's the people paying for the price for this. Mm-hmm. That's my initial thoughts. Anything to add on to that? Any thoughts?
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, maybe the people are paying for the price of the
system.
What we should be looking up to these people that we should think that are going to protect us are really just 180 and being a total asshole and coercing people to do stuff that is not appropriate. We would think it really does make a bad light on cops again. Like, it just absolutely does. So.
Exactly. All right, let's continue and see. Okay, so what kind of happened here? So Megan's lawyers asserted that the string of events caused her to nearly take her own. Ooh, wow! She almost unalived herself. Oof. As she held up an empty weapon to her head and pulled at her. Know what it feels like. In a 3-1 vote, city leaders took her side and agreed to pay. She held a empty weapon to her head and pulled the trigger to know what it feels like. Whoa. Like, did she does it, if I'm reading right.
So she took a physical gun that was empty canister,
ooh,
and just pulled the trigger. Feel what it would feel like. Not, without being empty, of course, but the idea.
Yeah. Wow, that is. And in a 3-1 vote, the city leaders took her side and agreed to pay $500,000 to the former officer. Quote, the Lavang Board of Mayor and Aldermen, what the heck's an alderman? Anyways, voted tonight to authorize the mayor to sign a settlement agreement between the city and the former police officer of Megan Hall. The city's statement, end quote. So here, the only vote against settling, Alderman Dennis, scoffed that everyone should be coming to sue because they would hand out settlements. The city made it clear that their insurance provider would be paying the gross settlement to Hall, not the taxpayer. Ooh, okay.
That's even better. We like those comments.
Damn, this is why I'm glad, because I'd rather give my statement, then we look more, and then we correct it. That's why people need to learn to read more, so you can improve your statement. This is like one of the best examples. Like we both had our initial statements. Assumptions. Thank you.
Presumptuous assessment of this. I mean,
and then we learn. So for anyone thinking like this is where people have like, there's a good example. It's like we're learning more and we change for the better, or you can be stubborn and stick to your guns. It depends. To each their own. But it's okay. Let me read that one more time just so we can be sure. Only one vote was against settling, and scoffed that everyone should be coming to that city to sue because they would be handed out settlements. The city made it clear that their insurance provider would be paying the gross settlement to the Hall, not the taxpayer. Okay, so the other guy's just like, everyone's just gonna come and sue over here. Well, the thing is, you should put your foot down and like lawyer up when they are in the wrong and you are in the right. The thing is, what sucks is when it comes to lawyers and that stuff, it's like depending on lawsuits and stuff, like it can be running you down a lot. Like there's like a while ago, my sister was just dealing with a simple car accident thing, and it took over a year to settle. And it's one of those things like, you could be waiting forever and stuff like that, and there's a lot of back and forths. And then there's people that are just put into these like lawsuit hells or pitfalls where they put you through lawyer fees and everything to the point where like you can't afford your lawyer, so you're just gonna give up. That's what sucks. But
unless you have a lawyer who is willing to put up with the shit until they know they're gonna get a payout at the end of it. I mean, just one of my friends dealing with a shitty landlord, trying to buy them out right now because of the mold.
Wait, what?
Yeah, there's mold, and the landlord don't take care of it.
Fun.
Yeah. So the lawyer's been holding out and giving them the best deal ever. So we'll see how that works. I'm curious how it will all fall apart. But yeah, the lawyer has been working very diligent and patiently with my friend, and I'm happy that hopefully that will have better outcome. But it sucks for the future people that will rent that place that will get sick too.
Damn. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's like it's just so expensive to be in the right too. Unless you find the right lawyer, or they can go pro bono. And for the most part, I'm glad that she got an outcome that was positive for her. And after continue rating it, it seems like it was fortunately not to the expense of the people. That's a positive thing. Though I wonder, what kind of insurance do you have for lawsuits? You know, what is that? Is there such a thing?
I'm assuming they have to have some sort of insurance for like settlements and disputes. I'm assuming they have some sort of like insurance policy. There's got to be one out there, right? Like, I think every business has a settlement like clause in the insurance thing. So you pay into this insurance, hoping that you never have to use it, but have it in case you do have these problems. So a majority of it came out of the insurance. So, I mean, a small fraction of it came from the taxpayers, which is not terrible, because it's better than paying a huge amount.
Okay, so it looks like it's something for at least average businesses. It's called general liability insurance.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it might be different for like government style ones. But it looks like for businesses, it's something called general liability insurance, which is used for a range of potential lawsuits that a business may face. This makes sense. But yeah, definitely if you're opening up a business, you're going to be facing probably a lawsuit or two. You never know. It's best to be protected no matter what, even if you're
stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid little minor ones.
Better be protected than anything. And if you have to pay out, like, hey. I want to continue. Let's talk about something a little lighter and dumb.
All right. What would you like to talk about?
Like the cost of food. We recently went out last night. So. Yes,
it was actually fun. I like this monthly traditional. It's become a monthly now almost.
Yeah.
We're on a three-way renting streak. Hey, yo.
So apparently, if you see the photo, some sports fans are sickened by Arena's criminal $8 price for 15 fries. What are your thoughts just hearing it and looking at the image of these sad fries?
I'm pissed. I paid for better food in Ireland, and I got more than 15 fries in my food.
So before we get into the article, I think when going out and things of that nature, prices definitely go up. The place we went to, not cheap, but I would say fairly reasonable for the quality they are providing in the atmosphere. To give an example,
but I mean, we also went to a specialty too.
Exactly, that's why it's good
quality food. You're not paying for cheap crap. You're getting quality food, and it is a specialty. It is gluten free.
Yeah, so
all the way around. So
for just to give some context to people, it's not like we're paying like $20 for like fries. It's I would say so. There's like they have like specialty donuts for $20 a donut, $4 a donut. Oops. My correction. And then some. So like their pastries are between $4 to $6 a serving, and some might say, "Ooh, that's a lot of money for a single thing." I would say, yeah, it's expensive, but for the quality you're getting and for where you're getting it from, that's not. I would say that's fair. Not reasonable, but fair.
Pizza and fries was like $9 yesterday. That's not bad at all. And we could have gotten any side. We chose fries. I mean, we could have done the fried pickles, whatever, ate all of them.
But yeah,
there was options. It was not like completely precise to one thing. But I mean, I think $9 is pretty reasonable compared to what you go out for a meal these days. It could be anywhere upwards past $10.
Okay, and that's being generous. Then there's the places where you're like paying close to like 3 digits for a meal. For like.
Well, yeah. I mean, like when it was 10 of us, and we would roughly our dinners are with tip and booze was about $200. So.
Oh no! I'm talking.
Ireland. That's Ireland, though.
No, but I'm talking about.
Reasonable.
What I'm talking about.
America food.
What I'm talking about is when you go out with just 2 people and you're playing close to 3 digits. Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
That's when it's like you're charging too much for said food just because of the quote location. So there is a balance between quality over price.
Quantity.
No, not quantity, because it's more like I would say the place we went to, the quality we got was fair for the price we got. But let's just say we went to, let's say, a 5-star restaurant, and we got like their 3-course meal, and we ended up paying like $3.50. Was that really worth it? No. And at that point, it was like, unless it's like gold in our mouth, like even then, not worth $3.50 for that. Like, there's so much we could have done with $3.50. But anyways,
right.
Continuing on to the article, it's talking about like sporting events, kind of also when going to the cinema. It's like you're there to view some entertainment, and you want snacks, you want something to enjoy. And like, I think the best example for like you and me are like, we go to the movies a lot. It's not cheap. With kind of the joke for movie theater refreshments is that they're not cheap. But it's been a while since I went to like a sporting event. But so what happened here was, it's no secret that food is expensive at sporting events. But Rogers Arena in Vancouver, Canada, has prices steep fans are calling criminal. March 19 at an NHL game between Vancouver. It's just a game.
16th. It's March 16th, by the way.
Oh, March 16th. In a post going viral on X, a mom revealed that she had to pay $7.99 plus tax for her saddest bunches of fries for her son, and fans immediately rushed to her side, calling out the prices. Okay, so here. In the post, Sarah explained that while she was acknowledging the food was overpriced at the Rogers Arena, she wasn't prepared for the fries she received. Because let's start with that. We both agree that it's when we go to these things, food is going to be pricey. Do we have to bite the bullet? We do, for the most part. Yeah. But what will we receive?
Think when you get fries, not 15 miniature fries, as your article top said, I would think it'd be like a handful, like plop, here it is, overflowing, and you'll lose a couple fries here and there, but like not count my fries. Like, I'm expecting anywhere between 20 and 30, like a plop of fries. It's outrageous for a plop of fries, but.
So Jones shared the photo of the food, which seemed to contain a mere 15 on the small piece of cardboard. The mom further noted that she bought the fries from Triple O's in the 300 section and was told the amount wasn't a mistake. Almost 70 cents a fry, remarked. That's when a comment says, "Colonel, that's the best pro sport for food. It's still expensive, but at least good. Baseball parks. Others share their own horror stories. I paid $5.68 for a bottle of water. Yep, that's one of the best way. The bottle of water.
I know they rake you on that stuff. They like just nope. You're gonna pay $5 for this miniature bottle of water. It's not gonna suffice your thirst, but it's $5.
Yeah. So we kind of get the gist. We kind of get the gist of this story. So what are your thoughts on just kind of this, like, more like going back a little bit? It's like now that we have social media and people can post whatever, you can see these horror stories. I mean, we're saying horror stories. But they're like frustrating. Like,
yeah, it's definitely frustrating. I would be frustrated with 15 fries and we paid $8 for it. Like, that's ridiculous. Like, and then of course, being Vancouver has tax too. Like, that's the cost of living is not exactly cheap either. So, like, and you add that, it just makes it like horrendous how we live as a society. To be paying for such a small quantity amount. We're not going for a 5-star meal, and it's like a little bouquet of like food. It's like you're getting a small portion taste. Here it is for $300, but like that's terrible for an arena. Like, usually you have fries on a stock, guys, and I really don't think you just go, here you go, that's all you're getting. 15
$24. Fries. You want $24 for fucking
yeah, it's going back to the things like, when the country's trying to help the economy by helping the people spend money in the economy, mostly when the people don't have money to spend, like, it's just hard to do that. Like I would be happy to go out and venture a little bit more, but it's quote said expensive to do that. Ticket prices, food prices, travel
absolutely.
costs.
I am
you're the
totally
example.
I am 4 concerts this year planned, and I am feeling it. Like, but I'm gonna do this because I don't do this often, but like I know I'm paying for it. Like, especially when I get there, it'll be like the food, the souvenirs if I decide to get one. Like, this is gonna hurt.
So, and mostly after, for at least for you, like last year was more of you had a lot of things. Now it's time to reward yourself. So, like,
I know I've had a lot, happen last year. So this is my reward year of having to put up with this shit. And it was funny. My mom was like, "Oh, you didn't travel in 2023." And I looked at my mom and I was like, "Do you remember last year? I was stuck up in bed most of the time."
So. Definitely, yeah. It's like it's one of those things where we're gonna be watching a video, kind of going over a couple things of this nature. It's gonna be our true and tried topic, but it's like it would be great to go out with friends and family, to go out to dinners, to go out to events. But when you have to budget that, it's not impossible. Like if you're smart and feasible, you can do the things. It's just some people don't do that, and that's where people get into these like really bad habits, and that then they put them in more strain that they either are already in or will be in because they just like mistook it, and that's what's hard. Like the things that are supposed to be quote de-stressors will become future stressors, or will already become stress. It increased that. And that's what's disappointing. And having these $8 fries does not make it any easier.
I totally am willing to pay prices for $8 for fries, but I'm not looking forward to it being 5 minuscule fries. That's not even a tummy worth of food.
Exactly.
It's like it's a miniature snack.
Exactly. It's one of those things.
Something else to suffice that.
And I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that because, like, I'm like, if I'm at an event, let's just take the movie thing. At a large bowl of popcorn is what, $9, give or take.
What?
I think so. Mm-hmm. And most of the time, we almost never finish it. But we decide to get it, and that's the price. But here's the thing: for at least that, you're knowing what you're getting for. Most of the time, you're getting a usual, like, always use purpose bowl. But when you're like at an unfamiliar location, I'm like, and you have already the idea, I'm like, okay, I know I'm going to be paying X amount for an item, to then get a, like, what they say, a quote criminal like level of quantity and potentially quality.
You're only getting 5. You're buying this big one. You're only getting 50 kernels of popcorn popped. Maybe some unpopped ones too.
Yeah,
but that's it. That's all you're getting out of that big container. You're only getting 50 kernels.
Like,
you're not getting in like 200. You thought you're getting 50 now.
I would say they gave me the bowl. Like, is there no more? Like, no, that's all you're getting. Like, oh god.
Not even half the container. It's like the third of the container, maybe the fourth of a container.
Goddamn.
They're actually picking out one by one. How many are you getting?
All right, let's actually jump into the video then we're going to be doing. Everyone, just give us one moment.
The average American says they need to earn $233,000 a year to be financially comfortable. But in 2021, American...
What are your thoughts on that statement?
I think that would be beyond my comfort. But yeah, I would live probably very happily with that amount. I would actually be able to afford a nice home. $133,000. That's amazing. That is what I make is about a quarter of that, maybe.
So basically, you're in poverty levels at this point, then.
Yeah, I'm almost and that's a funny thing. Being a pharmacy technician, you would think I'm not, but I'm absolutely near that. So.
The average American says they need to earn $233,000 a year to be financially comfortable. But in 2021, American workers on average made only
I would say, yeah, that's about right. So,
it's are they talking about a 2-house income? Because that's not even remotely close to me what I have. I make a little about $10,000 less than that.
I think there's just a single person. I think it's talking about singles. So a single person needs to make $233,000 to live comfortably. Okay.
$75,203 annually.
Americans are sort of looking at how much money they would like to have to be financially secure, and that ends up being basically 3 times what the average income is in this country. And to be essentially wealthy or really successful, it's magnitudes above that.
72% of Americans said they weren't financially secure.
So this is going back to the kind of the last thing. 72% of Americans weren't financially secure with their current finances. Would you consider yourself with or outside this frame?
Probably within.
You're within? Yeah. I'm in this 70. I would say I would consider myself with the 72%. Because you just never know what might happen. Work wise, you just can I'm in a pretty consistent job. But you just never know what might happen. And of that nature. If you have any other points you want to give before we continue.
I mean, each job, like you said, what happens if you get injured on the job and can't physically able to do your job? That would definitely hinder us. I mean, right now, I don't know if you know, Oregon is struggling to pay people the unemployment.
And look at that shit.
Damn. Okay.
I've seen so many stories, I don't know, over the news that are saying, how many people are, not able to make their rent and almost bound to be homeless or can't get their food or stuff like that. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
And I would say that all ties into being financially secure. Okay, let's continue.
Given their current finances. And more than a quarter of Americans said they'll likely never be financially secure.
A quarter of every person in America would never be financially secure. What is your thoughts on that?
I could believe that. I absolutely could believe that.
Let's see. How many people are currently... or at least the current one.
Granted, with all these refugees we've been taking in. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you know how many people are currently in America? Apparently to the census?
25 billion. I'm just kidding.
Well,
25 million.
Okay.
There's 25 billion in the United States.
I don't even think there's 25 billion in the world.
I know there's not, but I was just like,
Wait a second. Just take a good education, get us.
25 million.
There are 333 million.
Oh, I was way off. Really way off.
I think there's only 26 million in California alone.
I think that's why I was stuck on California.
Okay. So, being generous, 87 million Americans will never be financially secure. 87 million Americans.
That blows my freaking mind. That's like knowing somebody like within our,
One in four people, basically, in a four.
Yeah, that's crazy. How many people will not be financially stable? That is secure. I mean, that is scary.
So yeah, just everyone listening to this, just think about that. Think of your friend group, think of your family, and just think about it like that. If you're in that group, 1 in 4 of you will more than likely never be financially secure. That's a scary thought. That is just hearing 1 in 4. All right, let's continue.
The numbers, their debt is lower and their savings are higher coming out of the pandemic, but they're more anxious about what's going to happen next, if they have job stability, if they're going to be able to have secure retirement.
With well over half of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, many are failing to meet some of their modest financial goals.
But yeah, we talked about this. We actually talked about this, didn't we? That people are living paycheck to paycheck. Some people haven't gone back to work fully since after the pandemic. And then the last few years, so the rise of costs and things have just made it. We just talked about it with the last few articles. Like, it is making it hard for regular people to survive, basically. And I can see where that $233,000 number can come from to be well off. Like, well off is not being well off. I in my opinion, well off is living a little over your means. Like, you're enjoying life with it without being financially secure. That's my definition. If you want to give your definition of well off, you can.
My definition in being well off is being able to, or comfortable living, is being able to pay those bills and be able to have as you say, alive, but also being able to put away some savings for the future.
Thank you. I would add that as well. Thank you. Because that's the other thing. A lot of people, I think with the last video we kind of jumped into, savings is another thing that's not a lot of people are doing because of this. But let's continue.
There are actually millions of people struggling. It's not something that people want to talk about.
Yeah, we just talked about how many.
A place where your financial security feels super precarious, you're not alone. And it's not your fault.
So how did it become so difficult to be financially secure in America? And what can you do about it? Let's do some budgeting. Americans working full-time earned a median monthly income of about $4,400.
Okay, let's use their thing and see. Let's be generous with their math.
During the second quarter of 2023, the average worker takes home 75.2% of gross wages after taxes.
Okay.
shrinking the take-home pay to about $3,388. And that just isn't enough to cover the cost of living in America today.
The cost of healthcare, that has skyrocketed. The cost of attending college has skyrocketed. The cost of purchasing a home has skyrocketed. But nowhere has anyone said wage growth is up 15%, right?
Take a look at some of the most essential expenses for Americans. The median monthly rent in the US is $2,029 as of June 2023. That amount already accounts for over 46% of the...
Well, do you have
right. It's about right. Even with my down payment, it would still cost that, and it would actually wipe out my paychecks for the month.
Poof. All right.
Americans.
That's sad.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it, or you want to finish their little graph and then we can talk
let them finish it, but it's sad.
But most U.S. agencies classify spending more than 30% of one's gross monthly income on rent.
So their recommendation is we spend more than 30% of the income on housing. So that's how much you're supposed to do. Okay.
It's being rent.
Let me write that down. I want to have the...
I don't know.
Okay. So they're recommending for housing is 30% of your household income. Okay. Okay. Continue.
Meanwhile, the median mortgage payment for a 2,400 square foot house was $1,957 per month. However, a common rule of thumb advises spending 28% or less of your pre-tax income on mortgage.
So they want you to spend roughly 28% on mortgage payments. Okay. Rent. Okay.
Mortgage payments. For the median gross monthly earnings, that translates to just $1,232.
Okay, using the medium. That seems like a feasible amount.
As we talk to households and talk to consumers out in the real world, especially those, say, under 40, housing is the big issue. You know, rent.
Yep, that's our bread and butter on this show.
Mortgage is cheaper, but it's interest rates that kill you with, and you can't pay it.
And then
for a single household.
That or just the initial buy-in, where you have to put in 10-15%.
Is concerned that people aren't going to be able to make the next payment.
Inflation is really hurting individuals having stability in their housing. And I think sometimes we underestimate that if you have uncertainty in your housing, it causes uncertainty everywhere.
Housing is also the reason why cities have become more difficult to afford. Americans said it would require more than $1 million in net worth to be financially comfortable in places like San Francisco, New York, and Southern California.
This is why.
So you have to be earning 7 figures. Did they say live comfortably?
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds about right. Gas
is what, $7-8 a gallon. Food is like what, probably 5 times more than what we pay here. I mean, it's agriculturally able to provide food, except there was way too many people in such a dense small towns. It's crazy.
Why we've seen some migration or mobility around the country where some people say, I'm living in a high cost state like California or New York. We really want to sort of pack up and go to an area that's less expensive. And
we actually talked about this. The people were moving a lot.
Are now becoming more expensive.
Americans spend on average $690.75 on food every month, according to the latest data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. That amount is significantly higher than any of USDA's estimated grocery bills, including more generous and liberal food plans.
Okay, we'll just take their word. We'll take their word for it.
That cost the average Americans $96.42 every month, and you get a total expense of $2,816.17 for renters, and $2,744.17 for homeowners. That amount already accounts for 85%.
Okay, so using their math, basically housing, food, and health takes roughly 85% of your income.
That does not include your gas, electric, trash, water, their cell phone bill. the 5 things to actually survive in life, you know?
So yeah, so that takes probably that's the other 15% basically. So yeah, this is where we're at. This is why people are wondering, like, but this is kind of a good way to break it down. They do a basic medium, because definitely not everyone makes that much. Some people make less, some make more, but a medium is a good way to get an average of just a general thing, which some people hate, but I think it's the best way to give an example, right? Because this is where a lot of people are in right now. I would fall near where this is at myself. And I'm trying to think, am I in that 85%? Fortunately, no, but that's because I also have, I'm in also in that spot. If I was single, like solo, I'll probably be in that general area. Luckily, this is where we talked about it in other episodes. This is why people are living with other people, family, friends, just
renting out the other side of their bed.
Exactly, to levy this cost. So okay, now that we have some of the numbers, do you have something to say?
I don't even make a fraction of at 3,300. I really don't. And I'm a pharmacy technician.
Of the median
I don't even make that
for average American renters, and over 82% for an average homeowner. This is excluding other essential expenses like transportation, childcare, and debt payments.
Many Americans are really struggling with.
So that's your leftover money. We'll say like $500. So like you said, phone, car, subscriptions, debt payment,
gas,
transportation, and if you have a child,
yeah,
like that's where the last $500 go.
Just the increase of costs of living and food and housing, utility bills have gone up, car insurance has gone up, homeowners insurance has gone up, and how can they pay for them but also meet other goals that they have to?
Budgeting experts advise Americans to spend just 50% of their net income.
So basically, you're supposed to use half your money for the essentials in your life. So I'm trying to think. That would mean
your rent would have to be $800.
Yeah.
Or your mortgage or something. I don't give a
what was
flip, but
I'm going back to their number. 300.
So it was
3,300.
After taxes, the gross income was
3,308. Okay, so half of that is.
I don't even make 3,300 a month, so.
So 15. Well, okay, so 1,650 basically. 1,650 has to go to housing and food and health, basically. So yeah, so basically $800, $700 for rent. And then
is that no? Absolutely freaking no.
And
it's $1,800 for a 1-bedroom loft, a loft essentially.
Let me get this calculator again. Pull this thing out. Pull out the handy dandy calculator right here, using their counts. So there are quote wants is supposed to be 30%. Let's see here.
Looking at $200,
like $990. I would love to have $990, almost $1,000 for wants.
Jesus, yeah, same. Almost $1,000.
Almost
$1,000. A third of what I make a month.
So,
oh my god!
Imagine if you had that as your like, this is my fun money.
I would absolutely have a ball with that.
And then
I don't spend $1,000 on wants.
But
because I probably shove it into savings, but like
I would
oh
yeah.
my god.
Yeah. And then the 20% of savings, what is that? About $600. That's still.
That's not bad. That's still cushion. That's a nice cushion.
We're
not putting $600, are we? We're putting like maybe $6 if we're lucky a month.
Yeah, and that's just a person like the general populace. Like I said, like going back to the medium, like we would all love to, and that's just savings quote paying off debt, right? So yeah, that would be fantastic if that was our lives, but we're not there.
Not remotely.
On essentials, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings or paying off debt.
We see that allocation shifting significantly where people are spending 75% of their take home just on needs, which leaves very little for wants and very little for saving for your financial future. So depending upon where you live and of course your income, many Americans really cannot meet that target allocation.
So much of managing your financial life in America today is like drinking from a fire hose. I think many households are not able to show up and impose a framework of their own design onto their finances. Many are still in this reactionary space where they're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet.
The Federal Reserve has...
Yeah, I think I know a lot of people in that headspace. It's like, how do you make ends meet? And
oh yeah, I actually have family members that were that way. They're literally living paycheck to paycheck.
And
ends meet.
Yeah, and some people have easier circumstances than others, because some people you could just if they this is where we're going back to kind of just repeating what I'm saying. Some people that I know, if they just learn to budget correctly, they could be on the positive side. But then there's other circumstances that just people aren't able to do that. So, but yeah, there's definitely different things for different people and different circumstances. But sometimes some people just kind of have to like step up, and mostly it's for those people who have the easiest answers to their to the question is how do I make ends meet? Because some people wouldn't like this is just a general example. This is not against anyone. So if you're listening, this is not you. They are very heavy into shoe collecting. They love buying like those really nice shoes.
Sounds familiar. Who do I know?
And if they laid off buying a couple pairs of release, they would have I would say 15% of their income still, of their gross income. Like, yeah, I'm like, if you just stop buying them, but they're like, nah, no, I can do it. But then 2 weeks later, they're complaining like, I don't know how I'm gonna make it. Like I hope you're enjoying those shoes because that's where your monies are. But that's part of your wants, right? But sometimes your wants are sometimes exceeding what your needs are. Like,
yeah, and for a lot of people who have been financially struggling will not want those $1,500 shoes. Be like, those $1,500 I can use to, put in towards what really needs to be done, the necessities essentially. So I honestly, for people, I've been on both sides of the spectrum, and I feel like, and I still, some of the times it's really a mindset. Okay, I'm going to spend the $1,500 on shoes, but will I be able to make rent? So
okay, let's continue.
Where they're just trying to figure out how to make ends meet.
The Federal Reserve has implemented 11 interest rate hikes to combat inflation since March 2022. But more than a third of Americans said rising interest rates kept them from financial comfort.
Higher interest rates really can stand in the way of affordability for many financial activities or decisions that people want to engage in, and home purchases is sort of at the top of that list.
Look at the person who was going to buy a house that was, let's say, $375,000 2 years ago. Their monthly payment would have been less than $2,000. Now it's about $3,400. And it's the same house, right? The only thing that has changed is the interest rate.
Purchasing.
Ooh. Look at
Yep, absolutely is killing my dream.
that is bonkers hearing that. But yeah, we've talked about these stories of the people trying to buy houses. The market's horrible. It's wild. And like right now,
I'm at this point where I want to buy a haunted house.
just buy a house that someone was murdered in. It gets marked down. The markdown house. Because they're building a lot of houses in multiple areas around me. And
oh, absolutely right around me too. I mean,
and they're those it's those cookie cutter houses that I just genuinely don't like. That are what are they called? Are they townhomes? Is that what they're called? Those ones that are like stuck together.
Duplexes?
Are those duplexes when they're like two houses connected to each other?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Like duplexes.
Anyways, I call them cookie cutter because they all look the same in the same neighborhood. And there's like these 2-3 bedroom houses, and they're like selling for like $400,000, $500,000.
I know. It absolutely is. It is flabbergasting me. The people right down the road that are selling the same idea, the same cookie cutter houses, as you call it. They all look the same, and it's $500,000, and the interest rates are what 7-8% right now.
So that even goes even higher.
Exactly, and even if you have a down payment, if anything, it's not going to even make a small dent. It's going to it just might give you like a sliver off. Like that is not. That sliver, that's just basically paying the interest on that, basically, if you have any down payment.
Yeah. All right. Continue.
A car is more expensive. It's more expensive to maintain a balance on a credit card, with the new offers for a credit card, even for the best qualified individual, being at 20.5%, and other people are paying closer to 30%.
The cost of capital is going up very rapidly, and many of the kind of toeholds we saw for lower income households was because they were having access to credit and to home loans and to other things in a relatively flat economy where they still had a good job market. The ability to access credit, both for small businesses and for households, is getting much harder as the financial system becomes more risk averse in that space.
Credit is essential because Americans don't have the savings to cover big expenses. More than 40% of Americans blamed insufficient retirement funds or emergency savings as the reason for financial insecurity.
Well, 40% of Americans blame insufficient retirement funds or emergency savings. What are your thoughts on this statement? I'm trying to think.
I absolutely agree. I mean, you think about how many companies do not give a quality retirement. I mean, you're lucky if you get 2% back from your company. I mean, as a retirement, I mean, you think about it, and especially where
mostly with people these days, the old work method was you're going to get into a job and you're going to work there for 30 to 45 years and you're going to retire with that company. But these days, people just jump left, right, everything. There's just no way to...
Because they want more pay, but there's not enough pay. Or the pay that you want is just not available. Or you can't get that job. Or you can't survive long enough in a job because, you got in a car accident, so you don't have a way to get to work. Or, or the means of, because some of the areas that we all lived are not like bus, way to get around by bus or, by another means. So I can see it. I can really see it, how we are financially not secure.
And then, I think I agree with this. So basically almost half the people another way to take this people is like, was it two out of every 5 people you can include yourself in this, are in the future will not be able to be financially sound just with your retirements, or if you even have any emergency savings. That's another.
Think about it, the cost of medication. I mean, Some people who get in that donut hole right away so quickly, and paying $500 for a freaking life-saving drug. And it's like, there's no way that's financially physical possible for a lot of people who have really, retirement income, very mean to even pay it. I mean, that insulin. No, it's $500 fucking bucks.
Feel subjectively feel financially better, they need some amount of savings. A lot of financial planners will say 3 months of your income. That's
what I remember. That was the rule I always lived by, that you should have at least 3 months of your month. But then came the thought of a rainy day fund and things of that nature. That was my mentality for a long time. I think it still is, but like you said, accidents happen, things you never know, and you have to use said money. And then with the current thing, it's hard to build up that quote nest egg, right? That's what everyone, for anyone listening, that's what people would say nest egg is.
I mean, I absolutely agree. I mean, those like accidents, those emergency basically. I need that emergency surgery or that emergency dental thing done. I mean,
and like, okay, I have the money, use it, but then like trying to build it up again now is hard now. So it's like,
especially if you're stuck in a debt and you're trying to get yourself out of that debt. So you're in a catch-22. Okay, I want to save, but I can't because I got to pay for that debt, or I'm still paying that deductible for that surgery, or you know what I mean?
Okay.
For many people, it's so overwhelming that they can't even begin to think about it.
More than half of Americans today said they didn't have at least 3 months of emergency expenses saved, including...
Wow, that's not as much of that. I thought more... So half of people don't have that.
22% that said they had no emergency savings.
No emergency. So 1 in 5 people do not have no emergency savings.
Things at all.
It doesn't take unemployment to really knock somebody out of whack with respect to their personal finances if they're among the many Americans who say they cannot afford a $1,000 emergency expense and to pay that from their savings.
The reality is, if expenses are routinely higher than your income, you are not going to be able to put away meaningful sums. There are many, many households who do the verb of saving. You see money go into their account all the time. It just doesn't stay there because they are routinely hit with a need to grab that little bit of money and use it for some kind of income shock or unexpected expense or even expected expense.
36% of Americans said they had more credit card debt than emergency savings.
That's about right. Yeah, I believe that.
I feel like that's so true.
So 1 in 3 people.
So true.
According to Experian, an average American holds a debt balance of $96,003.
Ooh. Wait, does that count housing though? Right? Debt balance.
Damn.
I'm trying to think.
96,000.
If we're let's just say it's not including housing, because housing is a huge debt. We'll just take general stuff like cars and credit card. That is a lot. That is a lot.
That is absolutely a lot.
And then just hearing that number, 96,000 something, you can start to understand why people don't have savings, why they don't have emergency funds, why it's a vicious
cycle. It's really a vicious cycle.
Dollars, which includes several loan products like credit cards, auto loans, and mortgages.
Oh, so they do include mortgages.
More than a quarter of Americans said debt was what kept them from financial security.
Debt is a way of channeling some of our financial resources.
No duh.
And that can be a very effective tool. Many of us are fans of credit cards that have rewards, for example. But if you're not paying that principal or debt off within the billing cycle, that's when those double-digit percentage interest rates hit. And that can then exact a toll on the other aspects of your personal finances.
How do we properly address this so that people cannot be in the cycle of just focusing on paying debt and necessities, but can even think about transitioning to that other 20% and creating an emergency savings, which causes financial stability, or even saving for retirement, which is the goal of creating future financial stability in retirement.
The fact that many Americans are living in financial insecurity poses a big risk to the economy as a whole.
There's a reason why we measure and monitor very closely things like consumer confidence or consumer sentiment, because what populates those data points are everyday measurements like inflation and the strength of the job market.
I think COVID really showed us that households, when they don't have a level of stability and security, are actually the primary foundation of whether the economy can be strong or not, because we are so based on consumer spending in this country.
Public policy can greatly improve Americans' chances of achieving financial security.
So, for example, Social Security is the bedrock of most people's financial security in retirement. It's not the only source of their retirement income, but it keeps a lot of the older people out of poverty. And we know that Social Security needs some reforms in order to maintain its same level of benefits. And then also anything we can do to make sure that employers are offering any kind of retirement savings opportunities, emergency savings opportunities at work, offering employees the ability to enroll in benefits, whether that's health insurance or insurance for life insurance or disability insurance. You know, employers are a key part of this too, and public policies play a big role in terms of what employers can offer and at what price they can afford it.
The household's willingness to work toward financial security is also important.
Ultimately, the answer here is that solutions have to be arrived at the macro level as well as the household level. And so at some level, we all need to try to own our own financial success by managing our money as well as we can across the range of areas like emergency savings and retirement.
Financial advisors say the first step is to have a clear goal.
What do you want to achieve personally? What do you want to achieve at work? When do you want to retire? What do you want to do for others? And write that down.
But the key to success comes down to budgeting.
Everyone should budget. What we say is it's not what you earn, it's what you keep. And so think about and have some transparency of where is your money going? And then make sure the budget that you have aligns with the goals that you wrote down. If you say you want to retire early, are you saving more to retire early? If you want to put your children through college, if you want to be debt-free, are you paying more on your student loans? Are you paying more on your credit cards so you can be debt-free? Make sure that your budget aligns with your goals.
There are actually millions of people struggling. It's not something that people want to talk about, but if you are in a place where your financial security feels super precarious, you're not alone. And it's not your fault.
Many people.
Okay, well, we'll cut it there. Give us 1 second, everyone. Okay, we're back, everyone. Okay, so I kind of agree with our kind of closing statement right there. It's a huge systemic problem, but definitely you have to dumb it down to what they were saying, the household level. And I think that's the best way. Like we were saying earlier, it's just like you have to put it in yourself at this point. That's all you can really do. You have to like we said earlier, not everyone's circumstance is the same, but you have to do your best to do that. And I think that would be a fun thing to do as a bonus episode, to see let's create a goal list and see what each of us would want. What do you think?
Yeah, that sounds good. Let's do that.
We'll do that.
Have some fun with that.
Yeah, we'll see what we want, because the idea, like a lot of people these days, retiring early is not a thing you can do anymore. You're gonna work to
unless you absolutely got yourself set up like my brother. He's got the trifecta: military, federal, and state.
Nice. See, but yeah. It's I think the thing we can get out of this is it's not the statement they said. It's not all your fault. I don't agree 100% with that. Like, definitely some people take advantage and then don't step up. People are not willing to step up. Something they will just blame everything, and it's easy to blame others too.
Oh, absolutely. But
no, go.
I think half of it the statement's true. I mean,
no, like I said,
it's not our fault. I mean, granted, you know, some of that debt is passed on from your relatives too. So
true. Wait, I don't think you can get debt passed over, can you? I think
sometimes, depending on if your spouse.
Oh yeah,
you're in a debt.
I remember we looked.
Yeah,
I remember.
But, you know, I mean, like, so your spouse or, you know, your parents have a debt that they didn't pay off in their lifetime, and they have to figure out how to pay that off, or unless you can somehow write it off. So, I
think. Let me see. I think we looked it up. At least in Oregon.
I don't remember. I'll have to refresh my. But I thought, you know, some of that debt can still be passed on depending on what the situation is too. So, not like credit card debts, but I'm like, you know, medical bill sometimes gets ya.
Oh. Okay, so when I'm being just general, a general statement. Most debt isn't inherited by someone else. Instead, it's passed to, quote, the estate. During probate, the executor of the estate typically pays off the debt using the estate's assets first. Then they distribute the leftover funds.
Hopefully you have the assets to pay for it when you die.
True. And if you don't, no, then they lose out of their money. Here's another quick one. When someone dies, their debt is generally paid out of the money or property left in the estate. If the estate can't pay it and there's no one else who shares responsibility for the debt, it may go unpaid. That's the general thing. So yeah. So basically,
I mean, like, I feel like if that person's, you know, you got a household parent that can't make it, and then you have children who are trying to participate in helping with the debt, sometimes it doesn't. It seems like it almost like feels like it passes on, you know, not generational wealth, but like generational
debts.
Exactly.
That's even worse. But anyways, going back, I think is at the end of the day, in this with this idea, getting back into it, mostly with just after tax season, just kind of getting your head back to that space. It's a time to kind of just reconsolidate yourself. It's like basically a New Year's kind of resolution, but financially. You just kind of really have to like settle in and figure it out. Like, what do you want? Kind of like the things Liz, like you were saying, Liz, like you want to do these trips, concerts, your wants. Like, what do you need to do to achieve your wants while also being while being wait, what was that? Financially stable? Is that the word? Was that financially secure? That's the word. Yeah, not stable, secure. And for anyone wondering that those can sound similar, but they're two different words. Being stable and being secure are two different statements. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Being secure for like the future, and being stable today is different for the future. So.
Good. Yeah, that's the best way to tell everyone that. So yeah, I think we might do a bonus episode, just kind of go over our just not exact numbers of our, like, you don't need to know exact numbers, but like we could make some general assumptions and then go from there. To kind of, that'll be a fun idea to just kind of also give us an excuse to actually do it too, because we're all in that moment like, do we have to do this? Like I said, it's like some people just don't do it. That's where the statement is like people just don't want to do it and they blame others. Like it's not all your fault, but it is some if you don't put the efforts into it. You know. Some. Mm-hmm. All right. Any other final thoughts on this episode, Liz?
Nope. Take care of yourselves, guys. Mentally, financially, spiritually.
Exactly. This was a money-like episode on the way back, mostly from Ireland.
I know. I'm still paying for that trip, I feel like.
All right, everyone. Thanks again for listening or watching. Leave a comment down below. Let us your thoughts. So until next time, see ya.